The tragic end of the oil tanker Maria Alexandria. This is from an article that was published in 2016. Link to this article is in the video description. It's quite long. I'm just going through the highlights. It is in Spanish, so you might have to translate it like I did. The Marie Alexandria was an oil tanker owned by Mar Oil, and it began its life in 1977. The ship was 122,000 gross tons. She was 326 meters long. She had 32,000 horsepower and could maintain a speed of 14 knots when fully loaded. She was finished and launched on March the 10th, 1977. After sea trials, she was handed over to her owners on the 11th of April the same year, 1977. In 1980, on March the 4th, the Maria Alexandria arrived in the Persian Gulf with a load of crude oil. During the unloading, some problems occurred with the inert gas system, despite which the operation was completed, which ended mid-morning on the 6th. The preparation began for her next trip. The ballast tanks were filled, bunkering, and provisions were taken on board. In the early hours of the 8th, the ship headed out to sea without all the problems with the inert gas system being fixed, something the company itself was aware of, as well as Lloyd's inspection, which withdrew the IGC classification until the repair was resolved. At the beginning of the workday on the 11th, it was noted that problems persisted with the inert gas system. At that time, the wind speed was about 20 knots, making the increase in the height of the waves quite noticeable. The ship was about 490 miles south of the Canary Islands. Suddenly, at 1:30 p.m., a strong explosion was felt on the bridge. The glass in the windows shattered. When everyone looked towards the bow, they observed an explosion that had caused a cloud smoke that looked like a mushroom cloud. They said it looked like a small atomic bomb had gone off. A few seconds later, a second explosion occurred, much stronger than the previous one, which shook the ship, left it without steering and without electricity. The magnitude of the explosion caused the deck to disintegrate, sending pieces of steel, plates, pipes, valves, and other metal parts into the air, some of which hit the superstructure. In a very short time, a third explosion occurred, located in the pump room. And at about the same time, a fourth explosion occurred. The second two explosions blew a hole in the bulkhead that separated the pump room from the engine room. Some tanks which contained water and oil residue also broke and began to burn. Several oil slicks formed on the surface of the sea and immediately began to move in various directions, following the wind and the waves. The last two explosions also caused serious damage to the starboard side and completely destroyed the lifeboat located on that side. Tanks number 7 and 8 were damaged, and this caused the bow section to open towards the port side. The entire superstructure had weakened by the tears produced and caused the ship to practically split into two. The damage to the two sections and the ship doing 16 knots, the water quickly flooded the engine room, causing the stern section to sink at the same time. The crew members who were able to get outside jumped into the water and tried to get away as quickly as possible, aware that the sinking ship could suck them in. The wreck of the oil tanker Maria Alexander is located about 67 miles west of Cabo Blanco Lighthouse in a depth of 1,200 meters. Due to the suddenness of the explosions and the sinking, an orderly rescue could not be organized, so everyone found their best way to try and survive. An SOS could not be launched, even though the radio officer was in his cabin at the time. When the stern section disappeared under the water, several inflatable life rafts and debris floated to the surface. The bow section remained afloat, although it was sinking slowly. Two oil tankers were the ones who found the debris and started the rescue. The Maria Alexandra sank in just 40 seconds. The first ship on the scene reported the tragedy to the Spanish Navy at 12:55 a.m. The Maria Alexandria had a crew of 43 people on board. 36 of these people did not survive. This happened very, very fast. A lot of people that were below deck didn't stand a chance. They didn't have any time to get out. The Good Samaritan ships who came on the scene began picking up bodies almost right away. I cannot find the reason for the first explosion. Was it a part of the inert gas system that was malfunctioning? Why wasn't this fixed before they set sail? They obviously thought they could get by without it. They probably planned to fix it en route on their way to pick up their next load. This is a very, very sad disaster, one that will not be forgotten, I am sure, by all in the shipping industry. This happened 44 years ago. Rest in peace to all those who did not survive.